All right, cool.
What's up, everybody? NWO Slayer come back at you with another stream. We have Greeny here. He's agreed to do a little biblical cosmology debate today. We're both Christian, so it's just going to be on the Bible. We're not going to be talking about like physical flat Earth proofs or anything like that, or globe proofs. You know, goes both ways. I'm just going to start with a song just to like give time for everybody to get in, and then after the song plays, we'll just get right into it. So this is crazy, Greedy. I had AI generate this song.
Oh wait, are you using Suno as well?
Yeah, Suno. It's amazing.
Oh, dude, I've been using Suno a lot too, so that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. It's scary how like realistic this sounds. Ignore the imagery. I know, like I just basically just put a bunch of like eyes wide shut stuff in the background, just about like random conspiracy videos I had downloaded. So just ignore the imagery on here. It's all
Okay.
random. The song is supposed to be like throwing shots at the Illuminati.
Oh no, guys, look, it's my G. It's my head right
It's
there.
his
Oh my gosh.
G.
Oh
No. There it is. But yeah, it's supposed to be throwing shots at like Freemasons and Illuminati, and then it ties back and it's like, yeah, you guys control a lot of stuff, but Jesus Christ ultimately like is gonna win in the end, and like even though you guys control everything, like ultimately it's Christ that saves. That's like the message of the song basically.
Well, that's good. That's really good.
Yeah, it turned out pretty well. Especially for AI. I was surprised.
All right. Uh-oh, Spaghetti-O, he left. He's gone. Well, it looks like it's just me now. What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Oh, hey,
There
look,
we
he's
go. I'm
back.
back. I was having some microphone issues there for a moment.
Nah, you're good.
Oh, and now I can't hear anything. Okay, hold on.
Nah,
Let
it's all good.
the
It's
technical
okay.
difficulties begin.
And it's like a little.
Could you try joining in? Can you hear me? Maybe I don't know. That's weird.
Oh, I can hear you just
Let
fine.
me try one more time to leave and rejoin. Okay, hello. Can you hear me?
Testing, testing. Can you hear me?
Yeah, it was something on my end. I don't know what happened there. It was
Nah, you're good. I was able to hear you the entire time. I was like, what happened?
okay.
What
Perfect.
happened?
I'm just gonna quickly grab some water and I'll screen share this. If you have any verses that you'd like to go over first, I don't think we'll be able to go over them all, obviously, but
No, no, you're good. You could pick a couple verses as well. I'll read into them. I'll pick a couple verses as well, and I'll read into them as well. But yeah, I got you, man.
okay, cool. So I got some water. I think I'm ready. I think I already have the verses in mind. Probably gonna be the one in Joshua. We can touch on Genesis a little bit. Um, there are some other ones that are more so like what's the word? Figures. Excuse me, figures of speech.
Yeah, like metaphors, idioms,
Yeah,
stuff like
like
that.
far as east is from the west. I don't know if he's actually meaning that in the physical sense.
Yeah, there's also a verse that talks about the four corners of the earth, but
Yeah.
in that context, it's not actually talking about literal four corners. It's talking about east, west, north, south. I mean, unless you believe that, then we can have a discussion about that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I am well, I don't know. I do kind of subscribe somewhat to the idea that it's kind of a circle implanted on a square, and it probably does have four corners, most likely. I don't know though. We'll have to get into that one.
Oh yeah,
Um,
100%.
all right, so I think I'm going to start with the one in, I believe it's Joshua 10. I think that's a good place to start.
Joshua 10.
Yeah, Joshua 10, I believe. All right, so I'm going to stream the Bible app here.
Oh, I was gonna look it up, but perfect. This helps me so much more.
Yeah, we'll be able to watch it together here. Yeah, it's gonna help a lot. Esword, here it is. Okay, it was on Revelation. Oh, this is a good one. Maybe we should do this one first. Actually, I already have the flat Earth verse highlighted. That's crazy.
He already has it already set up. He's ready to
Wow,
go.
this was for a debate earlier. I was talking to somebody else about it earlier. That's funny. I forgot I had it pulled up. So we'll read a few verses after as well. But in Revelation 9, it says, "And the fifth angel blew his trumpet, and I saw a star fall from heaven to earth. And he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit." That's the ESV. Let's go to King James. I prefer that. And a fifth angel sounded, and I saw a star fall from heaven unto the earth, and to him was given the key to the bottomless pit. So my only point here would be it's referring to a star as a he. And also on the globe model, if you think about it, if a star fell to heaven, it would be like, I mean, they say stars are as big as the earth. So I'm just imagining this giant fireball as big as the entire Earth, like colliding with the Earth. I just can't make sense of it. What do you think about this?
Um, well, I mean, there's stars that are also bigger than the Earth as well. I mean, like the sun is a star, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, it also depends on the context as well. We're in Revelations right now. Revelations is one
Yeah,
of the most heavily debated books in the Bible because it's what was it? It's extremely it's full of a lot of difficult interpretations because it's talking about the future
right.
and how somebody is interpreting. I think it was Paul, right? It's Paul, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or I think it was who wrote Revelation? Was it? I think it was John or something like that. I think it was John.
Okay, well,
Could be
yeah. The guy who
John
wrote
of Patmos, I believe.
yeah, we'll say that it's John then. The guy who wrote Revelations, he was he was actually stating a prophecy that's going to be happening in the future. You know what I mean?
Right.
And when you're talking about the prophecy in the future, it is highly complicated because you have to determine on what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like, is it actual literal or is it completely different? And it's what they're objectively seeing. And then you get debates from different scholars, theologians, and stuff like that. Because this is all about theology. This is a
Right.
theology interpretation here.
Guess we'll do like that. Sorry, I'm just messing around with this. I see what looks best here.
Like one
No,
of
I
the
mean, I
oh,
get
I'm
that.
sorry.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Continue.
One of the interpretations is that the fifth angel is actually it just presents the fifth judgment, not actually an angel, but it's a little
Right.
bit different. Um, the star falling from heavens actually refers to Satan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, as it's actually proclaimed in Luke 10:18.
Okay. Should we cross-reference that really quick? We can always go back to Revelation 9.
Yeah, you can
Luke
cross reference it.
10:18, right? Is that?
Yeah.
Let's see. Luke 10. We'll read a few verses up. And the 70 returned again with joy, saying, Lord, even the devils are subject unto us through thy name. And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning falling from heaven. Behold, I give unto you power to tread on serpents and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing shall by any means hurt you. Notwithstanding in this rejoice not. Let me read this in the ESV. That one's like, like I just can't even read that one. What was that? Luke
10:18.
19. There you go. I was on that too.
Oh yeah, sorry, you're on
Behold,
19.
I have given thee nevertheless. It goes from, what did it say in the King James? Behold, wait, notwithstanding in this rejoice not. Oh, in this, comma, rejoice not. Or at least that's how I read it. Is
That's
that how
exactly it. Yeah, when you see a comma, you're supposed to pause. You go,
well,
in
there's
this
no comma here, but I'm just
oh, well
reading
then,
it like there is.
notwithstanding in this, rejoice not that the spirits are subject unto you, but rather
Rejoice.
rejoice. Does that say rejoice? Yeah.
Yeah.
Rejoice because your names are written in heaven.
I don't know why that I tripped up on that. When you read it, it was just fine.
Ah,
I
you
tripped up
you
on that so hard
you
there.
good, man. Actually, I'm wearing my glasses right now. I had to
Oh,
lean
nice,
in for a
nice.
minute.
All right, so kind of cross-referencing a little bit. I thought this was interesting. I think I have it pulled up here. It's 12:4, right? So it says, and his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman, which was ready to be delivered, for to devour his child as soon as it was born. But I find it interesting that when these stars fall from heaven, right,
Mhm.
is when these catastrophes start to come upon the earth, right? So if we go to Genesis, let's see, grass, yep, firmament divided the waters. We're gonna get into this. I just want to find the one point. Is it Genesis 2? No, not Genesis 2. It's in here somewhere. Let me see if I can find it. Can I control F? Oh, I can. Uh, is it luminaries in the King James? Does it call it luminaries? Does it just say stars? Let's see.
Oh,
Uh,
Control F. I see what you're saying. Control F does like it freezes the screens on the live, so you can go check other stuff out.
oh, sorry. It opened a new page here. It's if you control F, you're supposed to be able to type a word and it'll highlight it in the text, but it's not doing that.
Oh no, never mind. Okay, never mind. I don't know how this thing works. So I was like genuinely interested on how this works.
Stars are for signs. I'm looking for the verse that says the stars are for signs, seasons, and wonders. And it's no wonder, pun intended. And let there 114. Perfect. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. I think in the ESV it says, let's see, I just want cross-reference here. Signs, seasons for days and years. Okay, yeah, so perfect. So when these things get all out of whack in Revelation, right?
Mm-hmm.
When these stars fall in Revelation 12, I would come to the conclusion that a lot of these things happening on the earth, earthquakes, famines, diseases, catastrophes, crazy things going on, would be because the stars that are there to basically keep the seasons, the days in order are gone, and a lot of them fell out of heaven, and I would assume that would be why a lot of these catastrophes come upon the earth because the stars aren't there to actually keep the order that God had in the first place. That's not necessarily a cosmology topic. I just think that's an interesting point to make.
It's understandable. I mean, I think it's more of just the devil and the star is just a reference to the devil since he's falling from heaven.
Right.
Unless you want to interpret heavens as in like the universe heavens, but I mean that I think it also depends on the context it's used in because you also have to remember that Hebrew words are very broad sometimes.
Right.
So there's different words or different meanings for one word because there's only like what 3,000 words in the Hebrew dictionary and explaining one thing with one word could have multiple meanings to it.
Yeah, it's the context that really gives the word its meaning. If you take the few words before it out of that and change them to something else, it might entirely change that word.
Yeah, that's what. Yeah. So in this interpretation, I 100% believe it's talking about Satan. It also showed in Revelation, or it also showed the fall of Satan. At one point directly correlating to that. So that's why I thought it was like, that's why I'm thinking it's more likely Satan and not actual literal stars.
The only reason I would disagree to that is it says that he was given the key to the shaft of the bottomless pit, and we know Christ conquered hell, right? And he overcame the gates of hell and all of that. So if anybody has the key to the bottomless pit, I would assume it would be Christ. And it says he was given. It doesn't say who gave him the key, but I would assume it would be Christ
The
or
bo-
God.
yeah, what do you interpret the bottomless pit as?
Uh, Shul, I guess,
Shul.
which would be Shul would be here. I think I can pull it up on screen for you just to give an example of it, because it is a
I've never heard
weird
it be
thing.
I never heard it be called Shul before. I've always thought it would be called Sheol.
Sheol, yeah, thank you. I definitely mispronounced that 100%.
Ah, you're totally good, man.
Yeah, it's something to the effect of this. Let's see, hide, place. Just gonna quickly show this, and then we'll go back to the Bible verses. Something like this. I would say that would be the bottomless pit. Now, I don't necessarily subscribe to this fully. I don't know if the foundations of heaven are on the edge of the firmament or how that works, but something to the effect of that.
Okay. Okay. I mean, I actually don't see a problem with the bottomless pit being hell. I just don't know if hell is directly in sync with Earth, which is a little bit different. I don't
Right.
actually know where hell is. I don't really think anyone really knows where hell is. I think it's an interpretation to think that hell is in the bottom of Earth or like, below Earth. Well,
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
like I mean like more like the core is what I'm pretty much saying, like near the core of the Earth. But then again, I think hell is more of a spiritual place.
let's see. Well, it does say in I think it's Ephesians 9. Let's see. No, not Ephesians 9. Ephesians 4. Let me just get the exact verse here. Of course, it's not telling me. Ephesians 4:9. Nope, not 4:9. Okay, we'll just go to Ephesians to try to find it. Let's see. Ephesians, it's here. Right there. Ephesians 4. So 9 is here. And therefore, a prisoner of the Lord, urged to walk in the manner. There's one body and one spirit, just as we're called to be one hope that belongs to you. One Lord, one faith, one baptism. Amen. One God and Father of all, who's over all and through all and in all. Amen. Sorry, my headphones died. Let me just.
You're perfectly fine. Fine.
Hello again. My mic was having issues there apparently.
Nah, you're perfectly fine, dude. That's understandable.
I was talking that whole time. Jeez, man, this stream is just scuffed already. All right. So Ephesians 9, it's Ephesians 8,
Hey,
4 8.
someone else said hello. Oh, it's in the Discord. I just realized that. I'm still in the Discord. I can hear them in the Discord right now. But yeah, I'm
Oh, they're in
listening.
there. So it says, therefore it says, when he ascended on high, he led a host of captives, and he gave gifts to men. In saying he ascended, what does it mean but that he also descended into the lower regions of the earth? So this verse, I would assume, obviously is referring to Christ going into the lower regions of the earth where hell is.
He
He
also
was
descends
descended
into
is the
lower.
one who also ascended from far above all the heavens that he might fill all things. And he gave the apostles, the prophets, evangelists, shepherds, and teachers, equipped saints for the work of ministry for building up the body of Christ. Amen. But yeah, this is a pretty good verse when it comes to that. Any thoughts?
Lower regions, the Earth. It's also formed as a question. You can see a question mark. The Earth, almost like he's questioning, which is actually interesting. Um, Now I have never actually 100% looked thoroughly into every verse of the Revelations, but in saying he ascended, what does it mean? But that he had also descended into lower regions, the Earth. It's very complicated, actually, because I don't know how to interpret lower regions. I mean, it could definitely be hell. Could
Right.
also be something else. There's also a different interpretation for all. Also, I forgot to mention this earlier. Bottomless pit has also been referenced to not be hell. Bottomless pit was also another interpretation where God kept a lot of the Nephilim and stuff like that, and
Right.
fallen angels before Sheol or hell or something like that, which is also another point of view, which I actually find very interesting. So lower regions, the earth, um, I don't know. It could very well be talking about
Hello,
uh
Michael. Good to see you, man. Welcome in.
Hello. I do want to say that
Yeah.
first off, this website always kind of like crashes on me, so I might
Ooh.
get kicked out, but I'll join back in if you'll have me.
Yeah, of course, man. It's good to
Secondly,
have you in here.
I want to say I love you, and I love
Thank
the
you,
other
man.
brother on the panel, and I love everyone in the chat, and I wish you well in Christ, and I'm glad He's kept you.
Amen, man. That's beautiful. Thank you for that.
Amen.
Awesome.
Why is your title Ex Child of Wrath?
Because it says in the Bible that we were once children of wrath.
I like
Amen.
that.
Love that, brother. All right, so I guess we'll continue on to the next verse. I think the next verse I'm talking about here is in Joshua, I believe, Joshua 10. Let's see, I believe it goes down a little bit. Oh, my headphones died again. Hopefully that doesn't
I can still hear
affect
you.
my microphone.
No, I
Oh
can
no, it
still
doesn't.
hear you.
Okay. All right, I can hear now. Do not fear them, flood Israel. Well, I actually have it on the thing. It's Joshua 10, 12 through 14. Okay. We'll get the context. And as they fled before Israel, actually, could I ask you, Michael,
Mhm.
what's your opinion on biblical cosmology? If you have an opinion. Oh, he dropped out. Yeah, he was saying he crashes on this. Yeah, quite a few people do actually.
He's gone.
I might need to switch to restream from now on because, or sorry, welcome back, Michael.
Yes, sir. It's already starting. I don't even know
Yeah.
what this biblical cosmology is.
So, brace yourself here, right? I don't know if you've seen this channel before, but, I am a flat earther, I would say. And the debate, obviously, Greeny over here believes in the globe, which is fine. I believe in the flat earth. And we're just kind of discussing how the Bible talks about the shape of the earth and what conclusions can be drawn. So that's the only reason I ask.
Okay, I understand.
But it's not a salvation issue, obviously. So we are having
No,
this
yeah,
debate. But if he stays a glober and I don't convert to the globe, like regardless, it really doesn't matter. Like we're saved by Christ.
right, absolutely. I wish that more believers could have that aspect. But me personally, I do not subscribe to the flat Earth
Yeah, that's fine.
idea. I know that it was introduced by the Catholic Church. the flat Earth idea was.
Well,
They have
the
these maps.
ancient Israelites, they believed in the flat Earth. Did you know that?
Yeah,
Biblical cosmology.
I know that in Africa they also believe something similar in some of their cultures, and they believe that basically you get to the top of the mountains and that's it. It's just flat.
Right.
So,
Yeah. It's
but
very interesting.
I heard you talking about the bottomless pit and stuff.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I don't know much about what the Bible says about the shape of the earth.
Right.
But I know what it says about a lot of the other things though. And when it comes to like the stars falling from heaven, I believe that that is a spiritual and a physical event.
Right.
Because when you read Revelation, it says that these these seven stars that you've seen in the midst are of the candlesticks are the seven spirits or the seven angels. Um, and sometimes stars are referred to as angels,
Yeah. Absolutely.
Um, but the bottomless pit, it says in Revelation that there's a key given to an angel, and it says that in the Greek tongue, his name is Apollyon or something, but in the Hebrew tongue, it's Abaddon.
Hmm. Well, I guess I have another question for you because we were kind of talking about this. Do you think hell is like a physical location, like under the earth, or would it be more like a spiritual thing? Oh, he dropped out again.
Well, you know where I stand. No, I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
I do know. Yeah. Well, we'll wait for him to join back in. I'm sure he will. We'll just continue with the verse here. Oh, there he is again. Okay, perfect.
I don't see him. Where'd you? Oh, there he is. Now I
Yeah,
see
he's
him.
in the back chat. Yeah. Welcome back. Sorry about that.
That's
I
all
know
right,
you're
brother.
having
We
issues with
kicked you
it.
out, Michael. We didn't like your answers. Get out of here. No, I was kidding.
What was your question, though? I'm
The
sorry.
question was, do you think hell is like a physical location, like under the earth, or is it more of like a spiritual thing? Well, I guess obviously it would be a spiritual thing, obviously.
It is. It is a spiritual thing. I'm not sure if it's in the earth, but it does say that Jesus descended into Hades, and you was reading
Right.
that scripture where it says and even Jesus himself said that the Son of Man will spend 3 days in the belly of the earth.
Mm.
So,
Wow,
but
thank you for the context on this. I didn't even think of those verses.
but it is also physical and spiritual when people go there, I believe, because Jesus said, I tell you, don't fear him who can destroy body, but fear him who can destroy body and soul in hell.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's physical. That's why that man with the beggar for Lazarus, he said, bring me a drop of water, to quench my tongue and all this stuff. And if he wasn't physical, he wouldn't need water. Spirits don't drink like that.
Yeah. Wow, that's a great point as well. Wow.
Sometimes I guess spirits do, technically, because when the angels came to Abraham, they sat down and ate with him, and then they went out and talked to Lot. Uh, so, you know,
Right.
I guess there's a lot of things in the Bible that we just don't really fully know. A lot of arguing over doctrinal issues, like you said, that don't matter. Because it don't matter if you, like for me, I believe in the book of Enoch. I believe that that should be part of scriptures, but a lot of people don't. But that, to me, that's not a salvation issue. I just believe that angels had children with women and created giants and all these things.
Yeah, the
Right.
Nephilim.
Yeah.
Right. But I still believe in Jesus Christ and a remission of sins through the shedding of his blood.
Amen. Amen, man. All right. Well, we're gonna get into the verse. So let's see. And as they fled before Israel while they were going down the ascent of Betheron, the Lord knew the Lord threw down large stones from heaven on them as far as Azekah, and they died. There were more who died because of the hailstones than the sons of Israel killed with the sword. And at that time, Joshua spoke to the Lord in the day when the Lord gave the Amorites over to the sons of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and moon in the valley of Elon. Oh, I think he dropped again. I have to be back. And the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, until the nation took vengeance on their enemies. It is not written in the book of Jasher. Is it not written in the book of Jasher? The sun stopped in the midst of heaven and did not hurry to set for about a whole day. So my only point with this would obviously be in the verse prior, it says, "Sun stand still over at Gibeon, and moon in the valley of whatever that is, Ilon, Alon."
We'll go with
And I'm
that.
just trying to understand that in the sense that we're moving on a spinning ball versus the sun. The sun is moving around us, and the moon is moving around us. So he
Okay.
stopped those two instead of stopping the ground below him.
Okay, so you're saying that this proves flat Earth because he says the sun stands still at Gideon and Moon in the valley of what we call it, Ajakin or Ajakin or what? How you say that?
Ajalon. I think the J is silent. I
Oh, I thought
pronounce
that,
it
I thought I
Alon.
saw a K. Ajalin, Ayalan. I don't know. Ayalan.
Right.
The J could be silent, 100%.
Welcome
So
back.
okay, so you're saying that. Okay, so where does it say that God stopped the sun and moon, like, as there's, like, separate? Like, the God said, like, God stopped the sun and then the moon? Or does it say he stopped the sun and moon simultaneously?
Well, I think either way, the reason that we have the days moving in the first place is because we're spinning, right? So if he wanted to continue the day, then I would argue he would just stop the moving Earth. He would say, "Earth, stand still," and the Earth would stand still, and therefore the sun would also stand still, and the moon would also stand still. But he commanded the moon and the sun to stop moving, not the Earth.
Well, I also think you also have to take into perspective phenomenological language. Do you know what that is?
Yeah, and somewhat.
Okay, so phenomenological language, I'm not gonna explain too much because you said you kind of already know. Phenomenological language is basically saying like objective truths, right? So the Israelites don't know that the Earth. So we're gonna use this from my perspective that the Earth is circling around the sun.
Right.
God understands that the Israelites know that the Earth, when the Earth circles and turns its back to the sun, that what they see on Earth, it looks like the sun is setting. This is called phenomenological language because they're seeing an objective truth. So when God says, "I commanded the sun and the moon to stand still,"
Hmm.
what's more than likely happening is he's stopping the Earth from moving. So you also have to also remember and put in perspective, he's talking about the Amorites. The Amorites worshipped things like I believe it was they worshipped the sun and the moon and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
they worshipped material things. So God stopping the sun and moon is basically saying that their idol, what they're idolizing, is not as powerful as God is. You know what I'm saying? So in this perspective, because humans thought that the sun and moon held some type of power, it could more accurately be God stopping the earth, but to their perspective, he says he stops the sun and the moon because that's how they objectively see it. This is called phenomenological language in this context. That's
Hmm.
exactly like if I would ask you, is it a lie to say that the sun sets, even though let's say from my perspective, give me the benefit of doubt here. Let's say the sun, let's say that the earth circles around the sun and goes around the sun. Is it a lie then to say that the sun is setting? When more accurately, it's the Earth turning its back to the sun, and 24-hour days, basically the Earth spinning around in a circle while also in a circle around the Earth, or around the sun. I mean, sorry.
Right.
Um, would that technically be a lie by their objective truth? Would you say yes or no?
No, probably not.
Okay, no, probably not. Right. So because that's phenomenological language right here, and you were seeing an objective truth that the sun is setting. So basically, both perspectives could be true. The sun setting is objectively true by phenomenological language, it's phenomenologically accurate, and then the Earth turning its back to the sun is scientifically true and scientifically accurate. So you would have two truths happening at the same time simultaneously. So when God is saying stopping the sun and stopping the moon, he's more than likely just stopping the earth and speaking to them in a language where they can understand.
Okay, I got you. The only thing I would say to that is, I mean, it says, "And the sun stood still, and the moon stopped." Now, obviously, they could have interpreted it that way, and really just the Earth below them stopped. But I think it is kind of specific, and it says the moon stopped and the sun stood still. So obviously, it could be physically, yeah, the sun like actually stood still, or it could be, obviously, what you're saying, It just appears to be standing still because the Earth's not moving.
Right. Well, the problem with, in my opinion, the problem with thinking that the sun's standing still and the moon's standing still is I think you would be encroaching more on territory of presentism, which is a form of a logical fallacy that basically means that you're bringing present day understanding and you're
Hmm.
trying to apply it to past time experiences and you're trying to correlate the two of them. Now, I'm not saying that you are, but
I
I'm
mean,
just
I would
saying.
argue you're doing that, to be honest with
Oh,
you.
really? That's
Yeah,
interesting. That's
yeah, man,
interesting. I
yeah.
wasn't thinking. Oh, okay. Oh, how would you say that? I want to
The
hear this.
old know
I'm
you.
genuinely interested.
No, I mean, basically, just like, due to modern perspectives, we think it's a globe. So now we have to read the scriptures in the interpretation that we understand it's a globe. And when things don't necessarily align with it, then there's a way to say, oh, well, I know it says the sun stood still, but that's just probably how they saw it in actuality because we know we live on a globe. Hypothetically, I don't think so, but that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
They just it appeared that way.
Okay. I would probably say it argues more towards my point, and I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Because back then they had no idea like what the earth looks like from a third person perspective. They have no idea what the sun actually looks like setting in a third person perspective. And we know that God condescends himself down to human level. So he talks to us in our way of understanding.
Uh,
God does this all the time in the Bible, especially the Old Testament. He condescends himself down to our level so that we can understand. So he could talk to us in a way that we can understand him, and a way that he can, yeah, basically in a way we can understand him pretty much. And so God's not going to sit there and tell them, oh yeah, by the way, the earth circles around the sun and spins in a circle, and is,
mhm.
they're going to be like, what? I don't understand what's happening. They're going to be extremely confused, and if we know anything about humans back in the Old Testament, they're probably going to reject that idea and go against God, because that's what humans did in the Old Testament all the time, no matter what. He said, don't go and mate with the Canaanites. They made it with the Canaanites. He said, don't do this. They did this. Don't do that. They did that. So pretty much God speaking in scientific terms to people way back then, like 4,000 years ago, they aren't going to grasp that concept. So God, and that wasn't even God's point. God's point wasn't to prove them wrong, because he's not like, God's not prideful, God's not arrogant. He's not going to sit there and try and prove them wrong and
Right.
try to correct them on every little thing. So God's entire point is pretty much to save humanity and get them to worship him, because worshiping him is all good, and good is God, the absence of God is evil. So if you're trying to have everybody come to you, you're going to try and speak to them, or speak to people in a way that they can understand, not trying to correct them all the time, because that's not God's purpose. God wasn't trying to correct them in the term of empiricism. He was trying to correct them in the terms of theology and morals, and stuff like that, simple stuff like that. I think there's more that goes into it, but basically I think you get the concept. So God is just trying to talk to them in a way where they can understand. And, I think using the term, the sun stood still and the moon stood still, and interpreting that as 100% accurate, as that stands for flat earth, like that proves flat earth, as if the sun and the
Well,
moon
I'll
go
give you the
around.
benefit of the doubt. I don't think this verse proves flat Earth, but I think it does prove a stationary Earth. I'll say that. I think it is proof for a stationary Earth, not necessarily flat.
So like stationary, like it doesn't move at all.
Yeah, it's not moving. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, then again, I could see it the other way, where God stops the earth so that everybody on earth can see that the sun and moon stood still, so that they would stop worshiping the sun and moon.
Right. Yeah, I get that.
That's how I would see it, and that's exactly how I and I would say most scholars would interpret it. But that's just me and most scholars. Now, I'm
Yeah,
not going to bring in
absolutely.
scholars, but I'm just saying that that's how most of us interpret that type of verse. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And I hope you know that I'm not here to try and prove you wrong. I'm just here to give you another point of view. That's all.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I'm not really like digging in my points too deep. I'm just kind of like bringing it out there and
Yeah, and
just discussing it.
I think what's a really good thing is we can go through each verse And like we could be like, okay, that's how you see it. That's how you see it. The next verse, and then we go to the next verse and interpret it and then show each other perspectives, and then next
100%.
verse, and we continue doing that because then we can understand our perspectives on the thing. I think that's a perfect way to do that. And it's very fruitful like this too.
Absolutely, man. Well, I guess I'm gonna move on to the next verse on that topic. So many to pick from. I think I'm just gonna go. I want to use Isaiah, but it's. I feel like everybody uses Isaiah. You're familiar with the verse I'm talking about in Isaiah, right?
The circle of the earth, right?
Yeah, it appears like the circle of the earth and stamped with a. It's described as like a seal or something like that, like a clay seal.
Do you want to use that verse? Do you want to go there and talk
I
about,
mean, we
or do you
can.
want to, or you want to skip it?
We'll skip it. I reckon, because pretty much every flat earther is gonna bring up that verse.
That's okay.
So let's just go with. Do you have any verses in mind that maybe prove a globe in your eyes? Well, I think.
Let me see. I personally, I am someone who interprets most of the Bible when they talk about stuff like this as um global, but I'm actually kind of more interested in what you're saying. And I actually was gonna say Isaiah 40:22 as saying that like the circle of the earth is just 2D. Because like a 3D object could be a 2D object from far away. But
Yeah. That's honestly that's how I see the moon. That's actually how I see the moon. Maybe. Oh, I hope I can find it here. Let me give you a really good example of a 3D object being distorted into looking like completely 2D. This is actually a really good example. I think it's this one. So, from a first glance, you would think, oh, these are all balls. All of them are spheres.
okay.
But then, that's it. Oh, okay. Well, that is a sphere. Obviously, it's hollow, but you can only see one side.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is a flat piece of paper. So it is very interesting how perspective works and how things can be seen as balls, but yet they come out flat. And this one, whoa, that's even crazier. I haven't even seen this full video. They're showing the flat side of it, and it still looks like a sphere, but only the actual sphere is on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Or is that hollow? I can't. Is it? It
It
looks.
kind of looked hollow for a second, but
Yeah,
it
it's
might be flat.
hollow. Yeah, that's interesting. And then the last one. What's the last one? This one's just a sphere. Oh, okay. The first one was a sphere too, right? Oh no. Okay, yeah. So they're
Half
all
sphere.
different, but yet somehow they all basically look the same. So that's a
Mm-hmm.
very interesting point you made there. Yeah.
So, and I would actually, surprisingly, I'm using that to argue my point actually that it's spherical, because of the fact that God is so big that he says like there was a verse in there. He says he put his foot what was it? He puts his foot on the earth like a stool, right?
Yes. Yep.
So looking down at the earth by perspective would make a 3D object, depending on how tall he is, look like a 2D object because that's how that's how most things look. If you look at something from far away, it looks 2D, but then when you get closer up, it looks more 3D. And I would say that argues more for a spherical artist, but that's just me. I
Right.
can say that you can say the opposite. Surprisingly,
Is it 60, 20? I'm just looking over these verses. We might not. The sun shall no more go down, nor your moon withdraw itself, for the Lord will be your everlasting light. I just kind of, it's a good verse. Obviously, it does say the moon will withdraw itself, the sun shall no more go down. It seems like the luminaries have their own movements up there from these verses, but I'm gonna try to find a different one here. I'm just kind of looking over these because I have the whole list. Obviously, I'll screen share that again really quick. I have this whole list, but it doesn't have every verse specifically. It's just like, oh, well, these talk about the moon having its own light. This talks about the sun stops moving, but it doesn't show the actual verse. So I have to go into every single verse. And some of these, like Earth has ends. 28, Deuteronomy, Samuel, Job, Psalm, Proverbs, Isaiah. Like, there's so many verses here, man. And I didn't necessarily want to use this, but I think for the sake of this debate, it will help a lot to get more verses in, so we're not searching so much. We just get right to it.
Mm-hmm.
Let me find. I have a tab open for. Here it is. Okay. So I have it right here. I told AI to transcribe every single verse on that list.
Wait, which I use ChatGPT.
Yeah, I just sent it the picture and I said just transcribe every single verse. But it didn't categorize them, unfortunately.
That's
So
okay.
we'll
That's
have to
okay.
just kind of read them and get the idea of the verse. I'll just pick a random one. Numbers in the pitch in the wilderness, which is okay, that doesn't seem to apply. Are they not on the other side of Jordan? By the way where the sun goeth, in the land of the Canaanites with Joe. So obviously, it's talking about where the sun goeth.
The sun goes
Obviously,
down. That's
we would
I
argue
would
it
argue
too.
more likely phenomenological language on that. Just
Yeah,
it's an objective truth. That's what I would usually say.
yeah. Because we observe it to go down. So obviously, I would say it's physically moving, and then obviously you'd say it's a globe. That's not really like the best verse. At this day shall I give his name is higher, neither shall the sun go down upon it. That's another verse from Deuteronomy.
You're gonna have a lot of sun going down a lot more
Yeah,
likely
absolutely.
because the sun going down is kind of interesting.
I guess it didn't even finish. Can it still continue? Oh, it can. Okay, perfect. So let thine enemies perish, but them that love him be as the sun where he goeth forth in his might. So be as the sun where he goeth. I guess it's talking about the movement of the sun there. I'm trying to get past the movement of the sun. We kind of already covered that. Till the sun be down. Oh my gosh, there's so many about the sun going down. I went out mourning without the sun. I stood up. Okay. Their line has gone out through all the earth, and the words to the end of the world. I think it's talking about the end of the world here is like the ends of the earth. And I'm pretty sure that's what it's talking. But this is Psalms, so maybe don't use Psalms.
Psalms is very, very poetic.
Yeah. The sun also arises, the sun goeth down, and hastens to his place where he arose. Oh, so this is an interesting one. It's talking about the sun hastening itself to the place where he arose, almost kind of giving it the sense that the sun is moving, right? Or at least that's how I interpret that.
Okay. Hasteth to his place where he arose. If you want, we can look up Ephesians. Ecclesiastes. Sorry,
Ecclesiastes, yeah,
Ecclesiastes
let's do that.
15, and we can look into that a little more. I don't really mind that at all.
Yeah, let's do that. Let me switch back to this Ecclesiastic. Was it which chapter was that? Let
15.
me just Ecclesiastes. Moreover, oh my gosh, there's like 5 of them. 115, 6:5, 7:11, 11:7, and 12:2. We might as well just go through all the mentions in Ecclesiastic. Interesting. So that one is
Unless it says the sun goes down.
Yeah, we'll skip over that one because I'm sure it probably will actually. Ecclesiastics, that is near the end of the Old Testament, right? Okay, here it is. 1:5. So the sun rises and sun going down, hastens the place where it rises. We'll just read from verse 1. It's only to verse 5. The words of the preacher, the son of David, king in Jerusalem. Vanity of vanities, says the preacher. Vanity of vanities, all is in vanity. Does King James use vanity? Yeah, it does. Okay.
That does.
What does man gain by all the toil at which he toils under the sun? Toil. What does toil mean? What profiteth a man of all his labor which he taketh under the sun? Okay, I kind of understand it more in the King James there. Okay, a generation goes and a generation comes, but the earth remains forever. The sun rises and the sun goes down and hastens to the place where it rises. The wind blows to the south and goes around to the north. Around and around goes the wind, and on its circuits the winds return. All streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. Not the place where streams flow, where they flow again. All things are full awareness. Okay, so I mean, I guess the context doesn't really help much here, I would say.
No. When it's talking about the sun hastes itself to the place where he arose, I think it's talking more of like the anguish of verses 5 through 11. is that all things move in an appointed circle. So there is to man the dissatisfaction of recurrence, almost like how like evil is always reoccurring. You know what I mean?
Right.
It could be just I think it's more of a I guess you could say metaphor or symbolic. I think symbolic's better. Symbolism is probably what it is.
Yeah, I get you. Let me see here. It seems like my stream messed up here for whatever reason. There we go. Is it back? Is it a blank screen for you, or is it just for me?
I see all I see is the Bible thing.
Oh, okay. For me, it's a blue screen. Okay, as long as I'm actually screen sharing, because I can see it on my screen, so I don't need to see it on the stream. Okay,
Not
good.
you good?
All right. So the other ones, there's quite a few in Ecclesiastes, so we might as well just run through the list. I haven't read all of them yet, so some of them we may just skip over. That was 1:5, 6:5. Moreover, he hath not seen the sun, nor know anything. This hath more rest than the other. Okay, 6:5. I'm gonna have to read the context on that one. Okay, for it comes in vanity and goes in darkness, and in darkness its name is covered. Moreover, it has not seen the sun or known anything, yet it finds rest rather than he. Let's just read the beginning because it's talking about something. There's an evil that I've seen under the sun, and it lies heavy on mankind. And to whom God gives wealth, possessions, and honor, so that he lacks nothing of all he desires. Yet God does not give him power to enjoy them, but a stranger enjoys them. This is vanity, this is grievous evil. If a man fathers 100 children and lives many years, so that the days of his years are many, but his soul is not satisfied with life's good things, and he also has no burial, I say that a stillborn child is better off than he. Wow. For it comes in vanity and goes in darkness, and in darkness its name is covered. Moreover, it has not seen the sun or known anything, yet it finds rest rather than he. I think it's saying the sun finds rest rather than
Okay,
him.
so yeah, so basically what I'm seeing is it's a metaphor basically saying that the sun gets the rest, as in like the sun goes down and then it turns night. So he's
Right.
basically saying the sun is resting as like a metaphor. He's not.
Yeah.
I see it more of a figure of speech, not really anything else. And it sounds like he's talking more about evil here. So it is better to be a stillborn baby than to be absolutely corrupted by evil. And I don't know who he is. I think he is either a generalization of mankind or a specific person, but it looks like he's talking about generalization of mankind itself. Like he's specifically talking about how mankind itself is evil, and evil, well, like like a mankind that or like men who specifically do evil inevitably will never find rest, and it is better for them to be a stillborn baby than to live
Yeah.
because they're like always going to be evil. It's almost like the Pharaoh hardening his heart. He's always going to have a hardened heart.
Yeah,
He'll
I agree with you on this. I think it's definitely a metaphor in this context as well.
Awesome. I'm so glad.
Yeah, that one's you can't read into that one at all. I mean, it's pretty metaphorical. I did find an interesting one that I just noticed. It's in Isaiah 13:10. This is an interesting one. For the stars of the heavens and their constellations will not give their light. The sun will be dark as its rising, and the moon will not shed its light. So obviously, I would interpret this to be saying the moon is its own light. Obviously, we can go to Genesis 1 as well, where it says the greater light and the lesser light. Not necessarily reflector. So, do you have any insight on that?
Okay, so stars of heaven, the sun will be dark at its rising, and the moon will not shed its light. Um, it's all to me. I think it's probably talking about like again observations that people have. People observe the moon having its own light, but we all know, well, mostly
Right.
we all know scientifically that the moon doesn't actually what was it, have its own light. It's reflected off of the sun.
Right.
So when it says the moon will not shed its light, it's probably talking about something. In my opinion, I would say it's probably talking about something metaphorical.
Yeah, I
Uh,
mean, I'll play devil's advocate here. Let's say, and I don't believe this. I'm not even playing devil's advocate. I'm just playing global advocate here, I guess. But I would say essentially, let me just make sure really quick. Okay, the Bible's still up here. Okay, I would say if the sun is darkened, then the moon wouldn't have light. I think that makes sense, right? Like
if
if the
the
moon is
sun is
reflecting the
darkened.
sun's light and the sun gets darkened, then the moon would cease to have light as well. Now, I don't
Well,
necessarily believe that because obviously I don't think the moon's a reflector, but I think that would make sense in the globe model at least.
yeah, probably. Yeah, I mean, I can see where you're coming from, and I think that's more scientifically accurate. I
Yeah.
also have a different interpretation here as well for 13:10. It says, um, as is obvious, none of this happened during the first destruction of Babylon. However, it will happen in the last half of the Great Tribulation and at the second coming. Matthew 24:29.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. I
It
do
could
agree with
it,
that.
it could be. You know what? It also could be. Because right after that it says, "And I will punish the world for their evil and the wicked for their iniquity, and I will cause the arrogancy and the proud to cease, and will lay low the haughtiness of the terrible." So it sounds more like it almost sounds more prophetic than anything. Um, I could see it's more like more like a prophecy of God taking down evil, and he's speaking in words that people will understand metaphorically.
Hmm.
Again, the most of the time when people are reading the Bible, a lot of scholars say that the Bible is very, very metaphorical and very, very poetic, and
Yeah.
it's slightly difficult to understand how to determine what is metaphorical and figurative language to speak to people and what is 100% trying to be accurate. Like we know King Dave existed, that's accurate, that's a person, right? But
Hmm.
then when it's talking about, the sun, the moon, and stuff like that, and people are using like the book is using um a way to determine or to talk to people and teach them something. They're using physical things in the world that they're seeing, objective things that they see, and trying to use them to tell a story. And I think that's what's happening here, because it's not specifically talking about the sun and the moon and stuff like that specifically. It's using it to talk about mankind's evil. That's what they're using to talk about, and that's why mankind's evil is right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think this is a good cross reference to Matthew 24:29.
Yeah, I just
Matthew.
referenced that to Matthew.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. Okay, cool.
I
You
just
already did it.
referenced that Matthew 24:29.
Yeah.
And it's talking about the second coming, I believe, right?
Right. Yeah, immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light, and the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of heaven shall be shaken.
Oh, can you show that on stream, please?
Yeah, sure, I got you, man. Matthew 24:29. Immediately after the tribulation of those days, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light, and the stars will fall from heaven, and the powers of heavens will be shaken. Then will appear in heaven the sign of Son of Man, and all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming in the clouds. Well, this is another point, actually. It's crazy how we cross-reference it into this. A lot of flat earthers, I guess, including myself, would see. They will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. So, if all the earth will see Jesus coming in the clouds, what about people in the North Pole? Like, if I'm in Antarctica and you're in the North Pole, how do we both see Jesus coming from the clouds? I'm upside down from your perspective.
Are you saying that God cannot be at all places at once?
Well, I'm just arguing. I think that on a flat earth, everyone would see Christ coming from the clouds. We'd all look up, we'd all see the same sky, you know?
Yeah, I just think that God can be at all places at once, because if he's omnipresent, that means he can be anywhere at any time at all. So when he comes down, he's either going to engulf the world with pretty much his light
Mm-hmm.
and like pretty much his presence and pretty much everything else like that, or it's going to be something completely different. And frankly, when the last days come around, it is very difficult to interpret how he's going to do it. I would not. To me, I just, in my personal opinion, I would never limit God to only one place, such as, I would never limit God to a point where basically, the Earth being flat, or having to assume, not saying that you are, but having to assume that the Earth is flat simply because God cannot, God cannot present Himself from the North Pole and South Pole at the same time. I would never limit God's powers like that. I would say God would probably be able to engulf the entire world with His presence, probably on like an outside perspective. That's why the sun would probably dim, was probably because He would have some type of spiritual thing covering it, so then the moon wouldn't be able to reflect light, and He would be able to engulf the entire world with His presence in a way where it's spiritual. I don't actually know. I don't actually know. I'd have to look at some scholars to see their interpretations, but I think the way God's gonna do this will, you know, obviously what they're doing is they're setting out some type of like prophecy, or setting out the second coming of man. They're doing something, and basically, it's talking about something that's about to happen in a very prophetic way. So again, they either are talking literal, as if God's presence actually dims the light and all sorts of stuff like that, or they're talking metaphorical. I don't know how to interpret the metaphorical one just yet. I think I'll look into that later, but
Hmm.
this one is pretty interesting. Um, Again, this is also the coming of the Son of Man. Um, who is the Son of Man? They're talking about Jesus, right?
Yeah, I believe so.
Well, wouldn't that just be the Son of God? I'm also
Well, I
trying.
think Jesus is referred to as the Son of Man as well, right?
Okay, I think so too. Maybe I'm slightly wrong. Which is probably fine. But they're talking about Jesus, the coming of the Son of Man. Is there any text that talks about when he does come, like when he is born, like what happens when he's born? Does any of this contribute to that point, or is it the coming of the Son of Man as in Revelations?
I think it's Revelations. I could be
Yeah,
wrong. Well,
it's also
there were
red.
signs though, in because
It's also in red, so that might be Jesus speaking.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, yeah, it is.
So if that's Jesus speaking to them, then yeah, they're probably talking about a later
Yeah, absolutely.
event that's going to happen. But then the coming of the Son of Man could also be interpreted as something completely different as well.
Right. Okay, we're gonna move on. Chronicle, is it Chronicles? Let me make sure. First Chronicles 16:30. This is a very interesting one. This is getting into the more nitty gritty of it. So we'll read a little context as always. Ascribe to the Lord, O families of the peoples. Ascribe to the Lord glory and strength. Ascribe to the Lord the glory due His name. Bring an offering and come before Him. Worship the Lord in splendor and holiness. Tremble before Him, all the earth. Yes, the world is established. It shall never be moved.
Okay. Troubles before him, all the earth. Yes, the world is established and should never be moved. I could see where your point of view is. All right.
Yeah.
I could see where you're thinking. In my interpretation of this, actually, technically, the Earth is immovable from the distance of the sun. So where it is at the distance from where it is at the sun, it can't move back or forth pretty much anywhere. Like, not it can't move forward or backward. Um, because if it does, we would either be too cold or too hot. We would die. You know what I
Right.
mean? It's in a perfect position to circle the Earth for life. It's in a perfect circling around the sun. It's in a perfect what was it? Isn't that called a gravitational pull? Where the sun isn't that what's called a gravitational pull? The sun and the Earth are like in a gravitational pull, and they're circling around.
Yeah, it's all gravity and all that, but I don't necessarily subscribe to gravity, so
That's perfectly fine. So if it's an immovable gravitational pull, the Earth technically is immovable by that point of view, and it makes complete sense. Um, there was also another interpretation I saw about the Earth not being able to be moved, like it's established, such as it's established, nothing can move it but God. But then again, I don't know. I don't really think that was a really good argument. I think the one that I presented before is a lot better.
right.
But I
Uh,
understand where you see your point of view.
Yeah, I'm just looking at some other verses here. Raised sinful came into his blue and be upon them. Okay. So my person. I guess I'll stream ChatGPT. I'm just reading through all these verses. That it might be filled. Open my mouth, parables, all other things. Obviously, foundation of the world. I think in some contexts, I mean, I do take it literally that the earth is like literally set on foundations. But this, I think in this context, it's not talking about the foundation. It's talking about, or sorry, it's talking about the foundation of the earth. Like from the creation of the earth, I guess. I would probably read it like that. Which have been kept secret from the foundation of the world, as in the creation of the world. I don't know if that's necessarily talking about.
It's also talking about a prophet too. It says a
Yeah.
prophet will say. So
Yeah.
obviously, it's
Open my mouth in parables. So he's talking about parables. Yeah.
So yeah, that could be a parable.
Let's see. Father, whom has given me from foundation of the world. Okay. Foundation of the world. Yep. Okay. These are all foundation. Earth is fixed. Yeah. Let's just continue here. Okay. Ends of the earth, four corners. Oh, okay, cool. The Lord shall bring a nation against thee from far, from the end of the earth. So it's talking about the end of the earth. I don't know if they're physically on the end of the earth, so I wouldn't use that one. One end of the earth, from the one end of the earth even unto the other. Interesting. Okay. His glory with them together to the ends of the earth. Ends of the earth. Let's see. Set a tabernacle words to the end of the world. Their line is going through. That's Psalms. Okay, we'll try to skip through the Psalms. And he will lift up and ensign the nations from afar, and he will hiss unto them from the end of the earth. I mean, I do think the earth has an end, right? What do you think about that? Is it always figurative, or does the earth have an end? Because I would argue, like, on a globe, there really is no end. It's like you're always going to end up back in the same point where you were. It wouldn't end really anywhere. And I guess like we don't have to talk about a specific verse here because it's all like a lot of it obviously is
it's the same
metaphorical.
thing as it's the same thing as the sun going down or the ends of the earth. It's in this interpretation will probably just be metaphorical. In my opinion, I can see it being a lot more metaphorical than anything.
Right.
Like the ends of the earth, like people use that term still to this day. Like Eminem, he said, I'll fight for my daughters to the end of the earth, or I'll be searching for my daughters to the end of the earth. It's people have been saying end of the earth for a long time, but they don't actually mean end of the earth. It's used as a figurative language. It's used even in older like manuscripts, not even pertaining to the Bible. Like people who like old cultures and stuff like that. Like, I'll fight to the end of the earth. Stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree. In most contexts, it's used like that. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, so I see it being used like that in this one.
Oh, so that's all. Earth has pillars, foundations, set on something. Okay, yeah, we'll move on from the end of the earth because that's okay. He rises up with the poor of the dust, lifteth up the beggar from the dunghill, to set them among the princes, and make them inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's, and he hath set the world upon them. That's interesting. For the pillars of the earth are the Lord's. Let me just read a couple. The earth surely can tremble, the foundation have moved and shook. Okay, the channels of the sea, foundations of the world were discovered. Earth are placed, the pillars thereof tremble. The pillars of heaven tremble. A lot of Job here. Laid the foundations of the earth. So this one's actually talking about the foundations of the earth. That's interesting. Which would be, I would assume, would be the pillars of heaven, would be the foundations of the earth. And the earth shook and trembles, foundations. Channels of the water were seen, the foundations of the world. Okay, I'm just trying to pick like the best one here, so that's why I'm reading through most of them. Who laid the foundations of the earth?
Good.
Have you not known? Have you not heard? Hath it not been told to you from the beginning? Have you not understood from the foundations? Okay. And I put my word in thy mouth, I've covered in the shadow, and I may plant the heavens and lay the foundations of the earth. Okay, fury of the oppressor, if we already destroy. Okay. I put them can be measured. If heaven can be measured and the foundation of the earth searched out beneath. Ooh, okay, this one's an interesting one. So it says, thus saith the Lord, if heaven can be measured and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath. So, well, I mean, that would obviously apply. The foundations would be below the earth, obviously. The earth would be set on foundations. I will cast off all the seed of Israel for all they have done, saith the Lord. So I mean, I guess in this verse, right? If we supposedly know everything about the Earth, and we have this whole globe model, and we've essentially seen everything there is to see on planet Earth. Well, it's saying here, "And the foundations of the earth searched out, I'll cast off all the seed of Israel for all the day they have been, for all that they have done, saith the Lord." So obviously, I don't want to imply, oh, we found the foundations of the earth, so therefore God's cast out Israel. God forbid, right? But I think it is interesting. It's talking about searched out beneath, right? Maybe we'll look on this one actually,
You
because
want to
that's
talk
a
about this
very
one?
interesting one.
You
Yeah, I
want to talk
think
about
so.
Jeremiah 31:37? Let's do it.
Jeremiah. Oh, let me switch streams. Replace. Boom, boom. Window. Okay, Jeremiah. Let me make sure I'm on the right one. Hide. Replace. We'll do this one. Okay. Jeremiah. It's in here somewhere. What did I say? 21:27 or 31:27?
31:37.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Behold, the days cometh, saith the Lord, that I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with the seed of man and with the seed of the beast. And it shall come to pass. Oh, this is Jeremiah. Did I get that wrong? Jeremiah 31:37. Okay, maybe
31.
I'm just. Oh, that's okay. That's 28. I don't know why I went to 20. There we go. Okay, if those ordinances depart from before me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel shall also cease from being a nation before me forever. If the ordinance depart from before me, thus saith, I'm trying to get context here. Thus
No,
saith the
you're good.
Lord, which giveth the sun for a light by day, and the ordinance of the moon and the stars for a light by night, which divideth the sea when the waves thereof roar. The Lord of hosts is his name. If the ordinances depart from before me, saith the Lord, then the seed of Israel also shall cease from being a nation before me forever. Thus saith the Lord, if heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of the earth searched out beneath, I will also cast out all the seed of Israel for all that they have done, saith the Lord. So yeah, I mean, I'd say it's set on foundations, and I guess they're beneath the earth. And I would also argue no one has been able to search the foundations, or obviously this would be the consequence. But I think God is saying this in a sense that if these things were to be true, then I would forsake you. But obviously these things aren't true. No one can measure heaven. No one can measure the foundations of the earth. So I think that's kind of what he's saying here.
Yeah, he's saying that no one except for him can pretty much measure heaven. Oh, is it nobody? If heaven above can be measured, and the foundations of earth searched out beneath, he's pretty much saying that no one is more. I would actually argue more powerful than he is, because
Yeah.
or knowledgeable, because he's more knowledgeable than anybody else is. Like he knows how much heaven. He knows heaven. He knows how much it measures. You know what I mean? It is impossible that man should know the measures of the heavens above. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It is measured by, the Lord. And I think it's also stated that, I think it also says that in Isaiah 40:12, how he measures, he can measure things.
Right. Yeah, I wish
Um,
I had the. I'm not a Hebrew scholar. This is kind of off topic. Sorry.
oh no, you good?
Um, I was talking to this guy. He's Israeli, but he's also a flat earther, and he's not a Christian. Unfortunately, he's just a Jew in Israel. But he was saying the way it's translated, it's something about the dome of the dome. I gotta look this up. Dome of the dome. There's a verse in the Bible where it talks about the sky of the sky or the dome of the dome. It's a weird Hebrew interpretation of it. But I don't know the verse in question that he's exactly talking about.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, so I can't really bring up that verse just because I'd have to get him back on. But it obviously was in the Old Testament because he doesn't subscribe to the New Testament, unfortunately. But it's good that he comes to the streams. Actually, it's not my stream; it's somebody else's. But I like to hop in there as well, and I mean, he hears the gospel every time he comes in, for the most part. So that's good. He's definitely aware of it, and he's not against Christians by any means. He comes in and still kind of fellowships with us in a way, and we talk about the flat Earth and different things. Talk about the Bible. So that's lovely. I love that. We can still get the message out there to even the Jews in Israel.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. God bless.
Yeah. So I guess we'll just
I would also
continue the
say,
search. Go ahead.
oh yeah, I would also say, and the foundation of earth searched out beneath.
Oh, sorry. Let me go back.
No, you good.
Boop, 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 boop.
What are the interpretations about that, by the way? I'll wait for you to get this done. All right.
There we go.
One of the interpretations about this is, so it basically is so as to be known what they are, or on what they are fastened, since the earth is hung upon pretty much nothing. In that case, it does say that the earth is hung up on nothing. So like beneath the earth, it's, in my interpretation and some scholars and theologians, they're probably talking about gravity, how earth is hung up on nothing. And when you look at a 3D
Job.
model, Job, it's talking about how earth is hung up on nothing. So basically, humans pretty much wouldn't be able to, humans don't know pretty much what earth looks like. Only God knows. You know what I mean?
Right.
God knows that earth is hung upon nothing. God knows the foundation of the earth searched out beneath. God knows the measurement of heaven. Humans cannot. You know what I mean?
Right.
Now, that might not be the correct interpretation on my point of view, but that's just an interpretation that I have found and that I've also kind of subscribed to. And I think it makes sense in that context. Now, obviously, I think that you might disagree, but that's perfectly fine. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I think this is a really, really fruitful conversation. I'm actually a really good time talking to you about this. This is awesome.
Yeah, it's very nice, actually. Yeah. I'm enjoying this a lot. Thank you for coming on. I do appreciate it.
Oh, yeah, of course, man. Love talking about this stuff.
I do have a verse in Ezekiel. It's 10:1. I looked through a couple because obviously there's a bunch of verses that refer to the firmament, which some people interpret that to be the sky. Let me find it. What am I looking for? Ezekiel. Let me see. Whoops. Ezekiel. Wait, not 125. Let's see. Throne. Okay, 126. Oh, 25 and 26. Oh, that's a double whammy there. Okay. Ezekiel 125.
A double whammy.
Where is Ezekiel? Oh, there. Wait. Oh, there it is. Okay. 125
and 26.
And there was a voice from the firmament. Let's just see if ESV translate it any differently. Is it still the firmament? 25 and 26. And there was a voice from above the expanse. So they say from above the expanse, which it is kind of described like that. It is an expanse. And there was a voice from the firmament or the expanse, depending on which translation, that was over their heads when they stood and had let down their wings. And above the firmament that was over their heads was the likeness of a throne, as the appearance of a sapphire stone, and upon the likeness of the throne was a likeness as the appearance of a man above it. So I would argue, I mean, maybe this is a vision. I'd have to get the whole context of this. But he's saying above the firmament, which would be the expanse of the sky, was over their heads was the likeness of a throne. And I think this kind of cross-references back to Isaiah, where it says, he sits above the circle of the earth. I think this is literally referencing God's throne being above the firmament.
I mean, I don't really argue that the throne isn't above the firmament. It would make sense heaven being above the earth.
Yeah. Well, I just argue, we have outer space and supposedly we got satellites all around the earth. You would think they'd be up there looking at God's throne, at least in my interpretation.
I'd say no, only because of the fact that I think God hides a lot of that in a spirit. I think there's a spiritual realm that is not connected to this realm. That kind of sounds really weird, I know. But in this context, we have satellites up in space and stuff like that. And frankly, God wants to remain hidden, because if God wasn't hidden, then we would see him, and then we'd all believe in God, and
Right.
then it would just be utter chaos, because people would like freak out. Oh my God, there's a God! You know what I mean?
Right.
People would be very, very, very upset about that. Um, but yeah, we all okay. So the spirit. Okay, so we now know that this is um the vision or the appearance of God here, right?
Mm-hmm.
Ezekiel sees the appearance of God, um, which is the savior of man. This is one of the interpretations, but with a spirit body. Um, it looks like, from what I'm reading right now, it looks like it is a vision. And I'm reading a little bit into it right now, trying to see what he's talking about. There's a whole thing about it. Like chapter 1 is, yeah, it's a vision. Ezekiel's vision of God's glory. This is what it's called. Okay, so the book of the prophet Ezekiel. So you're reading all the way down. It's talking about his vision. Now, firmament, if we're talking about firmament here, it's more than likely speaking about the sky, in my opinion. That's what I would say. I would say it's probably speaking about the sky. And matter of fact, I also have a book with me right now, if you want to look it up, just to make sure, I'm not lying. I have an illustrated Davis Dictionary of the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
which is a kind of like it's pretty much like a Hebrew dictionary, pretty much. It's interesting like that. Basically, it's talking about these words, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, one of the ways to describe the firmament was they lingered in Hebrew speech and imagery as an inherence, and were used in both poetic and prose uh, writings, even when, for example, the agency of the clouds in bringing rain was understood. So it sounds more like he's talking more about the sky. And also, let me go get my Hebrew dictionary real quick.
Sure.
I think this also could help a little bit as well.
While you do that, I'm gonna quickly use the bathroom. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that.
Oh no, you good. Okay, so I'm looking at my Old Testament word studies right now, an unabridged version or unabridged edition from the Wilsons. And in my Old Testament studies right here in my Old Testament Hebrew words dictionary, it also says firmament. I'm gonna read you the full verse or the full thing. The expanse spread out over the earth, in which the stars appear as if they were fixed. The arch or vault of heaven, because it could be used in two different ways. Exactly what the other book says. It's either used in like a poetic or prose way. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Firmamentum, or according to our present knowledge of the heavens, that extensive oh my goodness, circambient. I think that's what it says. Circumambient fluid, the atmosphere. That's such
Mm-hmm.
a weird word. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, so the atmosphere. That's I'm just gonna say that the atmosphere, And also, if you look up the word firmament,
Mm-hmm.
I also have a dictionary as well. One second, I'm gonna grab that too. Sorry for grabbing all these books in my
Oh
room.
no, you're fine.
I just have a whole library, so I just like to read a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely. I totally understand it. I wish I could find the an example of it. I've had videos of people like showing the actual showing the verse on the Bible, but in Second Samuel 11:11 in the Matthew's Bible 15:37, it actually uses the words flat Earth in the Bible.
Oh, interesting.
Now they might have translated that differently or whatever, but I find that very interesting. It's hard to find any because there's I guess they don't use the Matthew's Bible 1537 edition anywhere. I guess I don't know. I can't seem to find it. Matthew's Bible 1537. Okay, maybe I can find it.
He's like, maybe I can't find it. Oh, and in my dictionary, it does say that firmament means sky, or viewed poetically as solid arch or vault.
Yeah, yeah. The vault of heaven. Yeah, I've heard it described as the vault of heaven before, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. Okay, so I think I do have it here. Okay, let's see if it actually says that. I'm curious. I've never actually like opened it up and looked. 2 Samuel 11:11. Let me see if I can screen share this. Let's see. Replace. Okay. 2 Samuel 11, verse 11. Oh boy, the language here is it's Old English.
Oh,
Let's
you're
just
about
say
to have
that.
fun with this.
And Various said unto David, the ark and Israel and Judah dwell in Pelions, and my lord, I don't know what that word is, and the Sir, whatever that word is, of my lord lay in tents upon the flat earth. Yeah, here it is. Something of my lord lie in tents upon the flat earth. So that's very interesting.
This is
Matthew
11:11,
Bible.
right?
Yep, Psalm 11:11. Or sorry, Samuel, 2 Samuel, chapter 11, verse 11. Yeah. So obviously, I guess we can compare that to what it says in the modern translations. Let's see what it's saying. 2 Samuel 11:11. What an interesting number. And Uriah said unto David, the ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. So where it says encamped in the open fields, it's translated to encamped
You know
on the
what?
flat earth, something to that effect.
Okay, so I think I understand where it's coming from. Okay, so remember I told you how Hebrew words have a lot of different meaning, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's speaking broadly, and I think it's probably speaking more like I would say again phenomenological language. Because
Right.
objectively, what you see is like a land being flat. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
I could see it being a flat land. I mean, there are places on Earth called the flatlands. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Because the land looks flat. It's very flat over there. So in that case, it would just be objective truths. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I'm also looking at another dictionary, or not another dictionary, another Bible as well. Reading it real quick, and yeah, it looks like it's yeah. This one says open country.
Okay. Open country. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, flat Earth, I think, is a bit of a stretch, even as a flat earther. I don't know that it's translated directly from Hebrew as flat Earth. You know what I mean? I just thought it was pretty interesting that there are like actual Bibles that say flat Earth.
Yeah, and I think it's just because of the Hebrew word. I'm actually gonna try to look into that real quick. I actually have my Hebrew dictionary right here. Let me see if I can look up flat Earth in here and see if it comes up with a word or not. Because it'll be interesting if it does actually have a definition for that. But I do think that it is speaking 100%. I do think that it is speaking of flat land. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Just comparing everything else to it.
Jeremiah 25:3. Let me just look into that really quick. We might have covered that one already, but I don't recall. Jeremiah. What am I looking for? Jeremiah 25:3. Okay. 25:3. For the 13th year. I don't know what that has to do with this. Okay. I feel like some of these verses like were not supposed to be put on this meme.
Yeah.
Like some of these verses don't apply, like not even a little bit, like not even slightly.
Yeah, that's why I don't really go with those types of things. Like that the one that you showed me, the whole like all these verses that pertain to flat earth and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
that's what I mean. Some of these like are a real stretch, I'll be honest with you.
I think that somebody, more than definitely somebody, looked at all those verses and they were like, I'm going to do everything I can to make it to put my interpretation into these verses. Not
Yeah.
saying that you are, but it does look very, very, it does look a lot like they're trying to put their interpretation into the into this into the Bible. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have to agree. Yeah.
Which I've actually seen happen a lot. Matter of fact, I can even send you a yeah, I don't see anything that says flat here. I can actually send you a little bit of a thing that says, you know, Bible contradictions to God's character, right?
Right.
And actually, I'll send that to you right now because, frankly, it's quite interesting. But yeah, people actually make lists sometimes. And I got a list from, I guess, some guy on Facebook one time. Actually, it was interesting. This guy was like, "See, I told you." He goes, "Yo, God, the Bible's bad." And he sent me like a bunch of like verses and like a screenshot. It's kind of hard to see it, but when you read the verses on the screenshot and you look at you actually look at the verses, most of them are just ridiculous, to be honest.
Yeah, I understand your point there. Especially in that context, I've had people kind of do the same thing.
Yeah, and I hope you know that this entire I do hope you know, I'm pretty sure you do, that this entirety of this, you know, live, I am not here to say that you're wrong or anything else like that. I'm just here to provide to you again just a point of view.
Yeah, the same with you as well, man. Same as you as well.
I think we're having a really good conversation.
Absolutely, man. This is an interesting one. I think maybe you could agree on this. Honestly, it says moreover the word of the Lord. That's Jeremiah, not Genesis. Genesis 2. Thus the heavens and the earth are finished, and all the hosts of them. So I would obviously argue creation is done. God finished His work. I don't necessarily believe in an ever expanding universe. I don't think God's still creating things out there. What do you think about that?
Okay, you're talking about thus the heavens and the earth were finished.
Yeah.
Um
And all the hosts of them, which I would assume is referring to the stars. NASA still says, "Oh, well, there's new stars that get created every day." Like.
I would probably argue that it does. There is a verse in the Bible that does say God does stretch the heavens out, stretch the heavens like a curtain.
Yeah.
So even if you apply God saying, you know, His work is finished, doesn't stop it from progressively expanding. It's still finished, as in like, you know, there's not going to be a new creation out there. There's
Right.
stars and there's planets and there's, you know, things like that. But aside from that, you know, you're not gonna see anybody or anything create anything else like anything that like God would create. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, one of the interpretations of that is, it proclaims the fact that when the heavens and the earth were completed, they were brilliant array.
Mm-hmm.
They were a brilliant array. So like a brilliant. Actually, I'll make sure I use this correctly, just so I don't like offend anybody in the comment section below. Array, display or arrange things in a particular way. So it's a brilliant array. So a brilliant display or a brilliant arrangement of things. So he arranged things in a particular way that is brilliant. So that doesn't negate an expanding universe at all. It just means that he created something that was very, very brilliant in
Mm-hmm.
the way that it works. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I
So
can see your point of view.
yeah, that's one of the ways you could see it. And I think that's what I think that's what it's supposed to be interpreted as. Um that's why it says in all the hosts of them. So the
Mm-hmm.
planet, the stars, the us, you know, life on Earth, everything else that happens. I think that's what's supposed to be, you know, pointing towards. That's just me though.
Right. Well, I guess going back to Genesis 1, I think the only thing I would really argue here is that obviously it says this greater light and the lesser light, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made stars also. But why didn't he make them first? Because if we revolve around the sun, then why make the firmament in the midst of the water? And also the waters from the waters, you know, the water above, the water below. I do physically think there's like literally water above the firmament. Like if we were to punch a hole through the sky, water would fall out. I do believe that. And also it's interesting because he made the greater light to rule the day after all of this. He didn't make it first. And if we're revolving around the sun and the sun is like essential to life, like without the sun, I mean, life would basically cease to exist. That's what NASA says. Um, I think it's a little weird that he made the sun after the fact instead of the very first thing.
So you're saying, okay, I
It's
understand.
also worth noting, this is kind of on the same topic. Earlier we were talking about the sun being darkened, and I just think like the way NASA describes it, if the sun like stopped being a light and it stopped heating the planet, we would all die immediately. Like if the sun just like magically poofed out of the sky, we'd be cooked. I don't think anybody would survive. The earth would freeze over in an instant. Um, so I think it's weird that the sun gets now. Obviously, this isn't a Genesis. We already talked about this earlier. I'm just rethinking about it. Like, oh well, if the sun is darkened and it doesn't give off its light, then that would have a severe effect on the Earth, according to NASA. Like, it would be catastrophic, which it is. I mean, Revelation, it is catastrophic. Terrible do things come upon the Earth, but I don't know if it's to the extent of like the Earth stops existing and it freezes over. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it's described that way. I know I made like 3 points there, so I do apologize.
That's okay. So some of the things I'm gonna say real quick is God created space, matter, and time all at the same, you know, time, simultaneously,
Mm-hmm.
right? So all of it had to come to being immediately, right? And when we're looking at that, we see God created light, and we are seeing that, you know, life on the earth and stuff like that has to come from the light of the sun, you know, like with the plants, you know, photosynthesis and stuff like that. Things have to happen naturally, right? Um, some of the ways to interpret the sun being created on the fourth day and, you know, instead of the first day could also be switched around in different perspectives as well. One of the ways that people look at this is that the first day was God's glory. So he didn't he didn't need the sun at that moment because he was in charge of the first 3 days creating everything for his own will, and his glory, his light was what was, you know, creating life, which At that point, it kind of makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
You know,
get
he
you.
is God, so he doesn't have to do anything. So when day 4 comes around, God assigns specific heavenly bodies, such as sun, moon, stars, to regulate day, night, and seasons.
Mhm.
The other one is that um there was like a tension almost, like there was light existing before the sun, like there was one of those like space radiation, and then
Mhm.
the other one was the actual sun. But I think the most common one was the functional view. I think this one's more in I think this one's more accurate. God creates the concept of time, you know, in day 1, but on day 4 he assigns the sun and moon as markers to regulate that time. And that was coming from John Walton.
Interesting. I
So
haven't heard
like
that before.
yeah, so there's multiple different interpretations, multiple different viewpoints on this one, but I would more than likely say that it was probably the day 4 was just the sun and moon being um the sun and moon being assigned to those times. You know what I mean?
Right.
There was also another one I read that the sun and moon were created when God said, you know, create, you know, I created light and stuff like that. The sun and moon were created. They just weren't assigned to specific times, but that one didn't really make any sense because that one could be contradictory. But I think the functional view makes more sense.
I get you, man. Well, I hate to end the stream here. I think that's like most of the main verses I wanted to talk about. I still do have a few others, but it's more so like even reading them. I mean, you could take it as literal, like, because I kind of read it like this. Like, let's say the Earth is physically set on foundations, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's gonna be verses where they're talking in a sense of like, oh, well, just like the Earth is set on foundations, you were like this. And I can't necessarily use that verse as proof the Earth is set on foundations. You know what I mean? Even though they mention it, it's in the mention of comparing it to something else or using it as like an analogy or an allegory. So it doesn't necessarily like it's not my favorite. Like I don't want to point to that and be like, oh look, you know, like they're using it as an example. You know what I mean? Like
Right, and I will say this. I'll say, I don't think that you, what was it? I don't think any less of you, by the way, for thinking that the Earth is flat or anything like that. I just personally, I just think that the Bible doesn't explicitly say the Earth is flat. Um,
well, other than the Matthew Bible, nah, I'm just
yeah,
poking
right.
fun.
Other than the Matthew Bible, I actually was. I'm gonna be honest here. I've never read the Matthew Bible, so you kind of had an advantage on me on that one. I wasn't even expecting that,
Yeah, I
but I
mean it's
just
in
came.
broken English, so good luck reading it.
Yeah, right, right. I was even surprised I even had an answer to that. I just kind of had to bring up some like other Bible interpretations. Even you were into that. You were like, yeah, let's bring some modern Bible interpretations.
Yeah, yeah,
So I
absolutely.
was genuinely like I was genuinely was what was I was ready, dude. I was ready to be like, oh man, this guy might have something on me. But I was like,
Yeah.
oh okay. That was
Yeah,
a
I'll
little
send
odd.
you a link to it, man. If you are interested in looking at it.
Oh yeah, I appreciate it, dude. I appreciate it. Send to
This
my
is
Discord. I would much rather
oh
see
okay,
on Discord.
perfect, gotcha.
Thank you. Appreciate it, man.
Well, I guess we're gonna end the stream here, man. Thank you so much for coming on. Everybody, give him a follow. Drop a like if you haven't already. I think we're gonna end with a song, and then we'll get out of here.
Thank you, and thank you for having me on the thank you for having me on the stream. I really appreciate it. Thank you,
Yeah,
man.
man, it was a great stream. This was a wonderful conversation, man. Like, it's actually very insightful, and I've listened to a lot of your points. I do understand your point of view on it, so that's wonderful. I do enjoy these conversations.
Appreciate it, man. I can't and send me a link to the stream, dude. I would love to watch it later.
Yeah, man, I got you for sure. Maybe we'll do another one. I'll have to find next time. I'll instead of having like the blanket list of verses, I'll try to have them all written down. You know
And
what I mean?
organized.
Yeah, so it's not like, well, here's 100 verses on the firmament, and then half of the verses are like talking about parables
And the
or a
sun going
vision.
down.
Like I don't need the verses about the visions. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I
yeah.
need the yeah. So that's pretty interesting. Well, I'm gonna end on the song, man. Thank you so much for coming.
Absolutely.
I do appreciate it.
Do you want me to stay for the song or do you want me to leave now?
You can if you want. It's a flat Earth song, so maybe you'll have a laugh at it.
Okay, I guess I'll
I
stay.
think it's hilarious, dude. It's actually a really good song.
Oh,
It's actually
perfect. I
really
can't wait
good.
to check this out.
Yeah, it's he does curse in the very beginning, but the rest is no cursing.
Gotcha.
regardless of the context, he's a great singer, I think.
Oh yeah.
Scott Kelly, he's a fucking liar. He's hanging around in a harness in front of a green screen. That bald fucking liar's never been in space. And you can see it written all over his blood red face. There are no satellites in space. NASA never went to the moon. There are no astronauts in space. So you'd assume there are no satellites in space. NASA never went to the moon. There is no space station in space. NASA never went to the moon.
Oh my gosh.
Neil deGrasse going by. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this guy's a Christian, sadly.
Oh yeah.
Cause you'd be amazed what they're actually doing with all of our money. They're keeping us locked away from the land of milk and honey. There are no satellites in space. NASA never went to the moon. There are no astronauts in space. So you'd assume there are no satellites in space. NASA never went to the moon. There is no
What a shirt. It says lunar module or homeless tweaker shelter.
That's wild.
space station in space. NASA never went to the moon. You can't fool me, cause I'm too slick. You can't fool me, cause my mind's too quick. Bitch, so suck on my dick.
Oh my god.
Falling for your
Yeah, this guy's nuts.
Oh my goodness.
I don't agree with him on everything. I think it's a catchy song.
I'm loving this song. It's great.
Alrighty, I'm gonna end it there, man. Thank you so much for coming once again.